Hello, my name is Dacie Sanders, and my capstone project was on the effectiveness of vestibular rehabilitation therapy in decreasing concussion symptoms in patients under the age of 60. This topic was intriguing to me because of my non-traditional rotation that I did at Tulsa Accident Care Center, where we dealt with a lot of motor vehicle accidents and therefore a lot of concussions. And at that location, they did a lot of concussion rehabilitation through using vestibular rehabilitation therapy, which essentially utilizes exercises with eye movement and head movements to eventually decrease concussion symptoms. And the reason I got into it was because I also have had multiple concussions throughout my life, and my first one was when I was 8 years old due to Red Rover. So because of that, I got very intrigued. My clinical question was focusing specifically on patients under the age of 60 who have been diagnosed with a concussion using the intervention of VRT and with the outcomes of their symptoms being reduced, with also the effects being looked at. And there was no specific comparison that I was looking for. As you can see from the search strategies, there were a lot of hits that I got, and after dwindling down from removing duplicates and looking through the titles and abstracts, I ended up with a total of 3 studies. My inclusion criteria did not really change throughout the search process. The only issue that I really ran into was trying to figure out which articles and studies I wanted and which ones I didn't, because I would find ones that I really enjoyed, but they would not measure the symptoms that I needed. Similarly to my inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria did not change throughout the searching. The only issue was really I found so many studies and lots of them were older than 10 years ago, so I wasn't able to include them. Since I had randomized controlled trials, I used the Pedro scale. Here's just the summary of my study designs for the articles reviewed. Here we see just a snippet of the table that is on this poster that you guys are looking at. The main takeaways from this slide were that the Contos et al. Article saw an improvement in their intervention group compared to their control group in all but one of the criteria, and in the other 2 studies, at the first follow-up, the intervention group had significant improvements, but at the second follow-up, everyone in the intervention group and control groups were at the same level. When it comes to strengths and weaknesses, randomized allocation, blinding of the groups, measuring the symptoms, and a consensus in support of VRT were all strengths of the articles. However, some weaknesses were the small sample sizes, the equalizing by the second follow-up in the Soberg and Kleffelgard articles, and the fact that it was not an efficacy study, so not every little detail can be controlled. In light of the strengths and weaknesses, there is moderate evidence supporting the integration of VRT to concussion protocols in order to achieve efficient symptom resolution in patients with diagnosed concussions. It is important for healthcare professionals dealing with concussions to be aware of VRT so that they can properly educate themselves and their patients and get them back sooner. Here are the citations that are listed throughout this PowerPoint specifically, though it is not limited to all of the citations that were used throughout the research. Thank you for listening to this topic. I hope you guys all enjoyed it and learned something new.